And then our final item today is receiving and filing a report on the end of season for the 2024 to 25 Sidewalk Snow and Ice pilots. And welcome Ethan, project coordinator for this pilot.
Thank you, Chair Cashman, members of the committee. My name is Ethan Van Offlen. I am the Sidewalk Snow and Ice Pilot Coordinator for Public Works, and I'm here today to give an update regarding those pilots and the what we accomplished over our first season. In this presentation, I'll give a quick overview of Sidewalk Snow and Ice policy in Minneapolis, an overview of what the snow and ice pilot programs were, a look at what we accomplished during this first season, quick overview of the costs, some of the takeaways we had from this projects, and a chance to give a special thanks to the people that made this work possible. Quick background on Sidewalk Snow and Ice. In Minneapolis, it is the property owner's responsibility to clear the sidewalk adjacent to their property. Single-family homes and duplexes have 24 hours following snowfall, while other types of properties have 4 daytime hours once snowfall ends. The enforcement for this goes through our 3-on-1 system. Letters are sent to property owners. Our sidewalk inspection staff goes out, and then it goes to a city-hired contractor. Just make a note that in 2023 we changed kind of the pricing plan for that contracted snow removal through our hired contractor. Residential properties are cheaper than they used to be, and commercial properties take on a little bit more of the cost burden. We also run proactive sidewalk inspections. This involves city staff going out and essentially taking a sample size every year in select areas of the city so that we know year over year how we are doing. It looks like about 96% of properties comply with ordinance. This year we had about 98%. Granted, it was a smaller sample size than normal. Yeah, we also have been evaluating the effectiveness of our snow clearing citywide and laying forth potential improvements, which are reflected in our winter walking and biking study, as well as our transportation action plan. Just want to point out that these pilots presented today help accomplish some of the goals put forth in those studies, and a piece of the puzzle of us improving our pedestrian access in the winter and getting people on public transit. 4 pilots were included over this last season: the senior snow clearing pilot, the snow ambassador pilot, the mobile team pilot, and the snow caseworker pilot. Quick look at the timeline. In 2023, these pilots were approved. We began outreach in the fall to neighborhood orgs to get them into our senior snow clearing pilot. We hired the Sidewalk Snow and Ice pilot coordinator, myself, and got temporary employees to fulfill the snow ambassador pilot. One of my favorite events of the season, I'm just pointing it out here, was the Community Connections Conference. Great time tabling there. We wrapped up the pilots in April. The last snowfall was March 6th. We were available for clearing into early April. Into the pilots, starting with the senior snow clearing pilot. This pilot was done in partnership with NCR. Which provides grants to neighborhood organizations for them to lead programs that assist seniors and others in need of snow clearing and support in the community. This year we had 4 participating neighborhood orgs. That was the Weber-Camden Neighborhood Org, McKinley Community, Northside Residents Redevelopment Council, or NERC, and Stevens Square Community Org. There was an application process in the fall and an initial outreach done by NCR. What we accomplished. So we had 4 distinct programs covering 5 neighborhoods. Each community org has its own kind of setup and staff available. Each pilot was geared towards helping seniors and other just needs in the community with clearing. I'll point out Stevens Square had a more unique one where they did walking along the community and making sure kind of block by block was clear in select corridors. Over the course of the 6 snow events for this year, we had 259 reported clearings done by the neighborhoods. This was primarily taken up by about 34 routine site visits to seniors and people with disability challenges, as well as kind of vacant lots some of the community buildings, and some other sites near the neighborhood. This also employed local and community members, and was a chance for high school students to get part-time work during the year. Just a lot of great work done by these neighborhoods. Really happy working with them. I'll highlight that they did a great job responding to snow events. People were really eager to get out there, and I think through the year we had a perfect kind of within 24 hours they were getting out there. So really thankful for them for mobilizing the team together. Moving on to our Snow Ambassador pilot. This pilot involved city staff clearing uncleared sidewalks along the pedestrian priority network. After 24 hours after snowfall ended, our crews would go out, clear sidewalks that were not in accordance with ordinance, and we would attempt to speak to residents and leave door hangers about sidewalk clearing rules when possible. Over the course of the pilot, we routinely monitored 66 miles worth of sidewalk. This made up 33 miles of our pedestrian priority network. We kind of divided it in 3 areas for data collection purposes. Over the 6 snow events, we visited or treated 534 unique addresses. It's kind of a breakdown. I put in a table here. 241 of those we were able to get to full bare pavement, 4 feet wide of sidewalk. 229 were 2-packed down by the time we got there for us to do a full clearing. So we cleared it as well as we could, sand and salted. And 60 were a certain property type we sent along to 301 for our sidewalk contractor to clear. This program consisted of 4 city staff members, kind of a 2 crews of 2 going out and performing this work. Next, our mobile team pilot. Through this pilot, residents could request help with their public sidewalk snow clearing through 301. And this last season, the Snow Ambassador staff was used to do the clearings for this program. Accomplishments for this pilot: by the end of the program, we had 23 residents signed up for the service. We generally split 1 crew up going up north and clearing, 1 crew going south, and we were able to get to all those residents within a day. We likely could have handled 30 or 35 through our staffing. Over the course of the pilot, we did 109 site clearings or visits. About 25% of the time, the site had already been cleared by kind of good neighbors. Also highlight our staff was willing to come in over weekends. We had several snowfalls on Friday, Saturday this year, and us coming in on the weekends allowed us to get this done in a timely manner and then moved on to our Snow Ambassador work. Finally, our Snow Caseworker pilot. The objectives of the Snow Caseworker pilot were to collect qualitative data, to better identify and understand barriers of sidewalk clearing, direct outreach and education to residents about sidewalk clearing, connect residents with existing clearing resources, and serve as a resource for renters experiencing inadequate service. Also had the responsibilities of this pilot were being fulfilled by the Snow and Ice Pilot Coordinator, which included working to implement and coordinate the work of the other 3 pilot programs. Some general accomplishments: we developed a new 301 request type for citizens to request snow and ice clearing help. We changed the letter we typically send to a postcard that goes out to every address, informing properties of the snow and ice clearing rules. It's kind of easier to read and can be hanged on a fridge for future reference. We presented information on the pilots to the Advisory Committee on People with Disabilities, the Pedestrian Advisory Committee, tabled at the Community Connections Conference, and Christina Kendrick shared information on these pilots to the Committee on Aging as well. Then just work related to the other 3 pilots as well. Ongoing this summer, we'll be doing some data analysis regarding our history of violation data so as to make some plans and communications ready for sending out to properties that are known repeat offenders, looking at where we know bus stops aren't being cleared, and kind of making a plan for vacant properties. Just look at what was what was done this year. Over the course of all pilots, we addressed 902 addresses through the 6 snow events, and we treated or cleared 17.3 miles worth of sidewalk. I'll note that this was 6 snow events. We typically expect 10 to 15 snow events, and we had 24.5 inches of snow, and average is about 54 inches. Just a quick look at costs over the course of all the pilots in total. For the winter, we spent around $230,000, not including some of the off-season costs that we have. If it had been an average winter, we'd expect around $285,000 spent, with an extra month of snow ambassadors and twice as much going to our senior snow clearing team, as they get paid kind of by a snow event. Quick look at some things learned and takeaways from the season. Senior snow clearing pilot capacity of program may not match the need for assistance in the neighborhood. What I mean by that is one neighborhood was hoping for a few more seniors in their neighborhood to be on. We were able to kind of supplement work with other needs, like vacant properties in that neighborhood. Another neighborhood org had kind of too many requests than they can handle, and we fulfilled those requests with our mobile team at times. Our snow ambassador pilot, we learned that our team could monitor about 15 miles of sidewalk per day using this method, and that after 3 or 4 days, the sidewalk becomes very packed down and icy, making clearing difficult. Our mobile team pilot, just not guaranteed that availability is, there will be availability on weekends. It might be a reason to explore using a hired contractor in the future. And finally, just we sent a survey to residents following that survey on how their service was. Just got really positive feedback from residents in that. I'd like to read a few of the responses we got back from people participating. As an older person, I have so appreciated the sidewalk snow removal services that the city has provided to some of us seniors this past winter. I'm the one that calls and cries you every time just to say thanks for the snow removal services, which she definitely did, and I was very happy to answer those calls. This program was a lifesaver for my wife and I this year. We appreciate the promptness of the employees and how great our sidewalks were cleared. And next, thank you so much. I appreciate this public service and think it's very valuable and necessary. Just as coordinator, I was very honored to get to service residents of Minneapolis in this way this last year. Towards the conclusion here, I just want to take a moment to thank the people that made this year possible. Steve Gallagher and Bob Cooper and NCR. The senior snow clearing pilot could not have happened with them. I know Steve is in the audience. Just thank you for all your work and help this year. From Kinley Community, Sharon Alamein and her team were fantastic to work with. Adam Schneider and his team from Stevens Square. Adam's here today. Thank you, Adam, for being here and all the work you did this year. Marco Cruz and his team at Weber Camden, and Martina Gale Smaller and their team at NERC. Our snow ambassador team, Linda Page, Jasmine Taple, Dylan Diddy, and Alfonso Castillo, all excellent to work with. And finally, our public works leadership staff, Tim Sexton, Brian Dodds, Jennifer Swanson, Don Elwood, Joe Paulman, Steve Collin, Derek Lofgren, Aaron Johnson, and Steve Hoyam, all provided guidance throughout the year and were extremely helpful for me getting these pilots going. That is all I have today. I hope everyone has a wonderful summer. Our stuff is away for the summer, and excited to get back to it next year. Thank you all for listening, and happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thanks. I hope you have some great summer plans, vacation plans. No, actually, in all honesty, what will be your plan for the summer? Are you going to be working on another project?
Great question. So I came from our right-of-way management division. Mm-hmm. I've been overseeing our ADA PedRamp collection for a number of years, helping our sidewalk team with a lot of things. There's some work related to this, but I stay very busy with kind of more ADA things we have going on in our radar and public works.
Certainly. There's a lot of good projects happening in the summer, too. Any questions from committee members? Yes, Councilmember Osman.
The pilot, oh, Sarah, I'm here. The pilot program, was that for 1 year, the cost of $230,000?
That was over the winter, so kind of December snowfall when it started to April when we wrapped up and got the payments out to neighborhoods.
Would you say this year we had more snow, less snow, okay snow? Or?
About half the snow of average. This is the first year doing it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And also the $230,000 cost, is that the entire program, including the hiring new staff and so on, or is it just specifically to program I'm trying to figure out the cost.
All 4 pilots.
All
What
4
was spent
pilots.
on all of them.
Or 4 pilots. Okay, sounds great. I think it's great that we're trying this. We're trying to figure out which program works the best. I definitely like the idea of priority sidewalks being cleared, and also the seniors, of course, working with the neighborhood organization is making that option, having that option to call and able to get their sites clear. So it's a good program. I think we can kind of go through it and figure out which one works the best, and hopefully plan on through that.
All right, thank you. Next, I'll recognize Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair Cashman, and thank you so much for your presentation and your work on this first year of the pilot. And I'm grateful that we got some actual snow this last year, so it could happen. My first question is, just to clarify, this will be continuing, the pilot will be continuing into next year's snow season as well?
Chair, Councilmember Chowdhury, yes, the extent of which I don't think is finalized. Yeah, but I know neighborhoods definitely continuing with that. I think there's some outstanding questions with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious to kind of know before the snow season what kind of the plans are in terms of how resources are going to be used. I don't know if there's any internal discussion about shifting resources to different pilot programs or kind of keeping things as is. Do you know?
I'll let Tim take this one, I think.
Director?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And Councilmember, we are having those discussions about the appropriate budget amount. I think Ethan's data suggested that some of these pilots were really cost effective and really appreciated by the community. So we are looking at that. We also noticed that what we are able to accomplish with $230,000 was pretty substantial and effective. And so there may be a way to do this at a lower cost amount than the full $600,000 that was allocated in the budget.
Great, that's helpful. And I think the thing to keep in mind too, in terms of piloting, like this is our first year of data, and I would really be curious to see how an additional year lines up with this year as the program itself becomes more visible to the community. One of the things that I'm interested in exploring and seeing is how other neighborhood organizations can get involved, especially in parts of the city that have like a high density of seniors. I know that there's a very high density on the north side, but I didn't notice any neighborhood organizations kind of join in that I know, like on the south side of Minneapolis, there's a lot of seniors. And so is there a plan to kind of open up to see if other neighborhood associations might want to be putting their hat in the ring to participate in the senior snow clearing pilot this year?
Councilmember Chowdhury, yes, we have had interest from other neighborhoods throughout. I know there's some neighborhoods in the south that were reached out to that have kind of an existing volunteer program, and any way we can reconnect with them and see if we can provide them more resources, something we'll be looking to do.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I would love to partner on that conversation, and I just was really, really impressed to see like all of the different places within our city that there was a type of service delivered, and thank you so much for reading those constituent accounts. Like that was wonderful to hear, and like I can see that you're just kind of beaming when you got to read them and just think about that, because that's what the impact is. I actually had a constituent yesterday come to my office hours, and he is a senior, he's on a fixed income, and he no longer can afford the snow clearing program that he was using before, or the service that he was using before, because the cost of living has just gone up so much in this last calendar year. Like it was already tight last year. And so he told me, he's like, I really need help this next snow season, because I am disabled, like I have to carry an oxygen tank around wherever I'm going. And a few times, just to save on cost, I shoveled the snow myself. And my doctor told me that I should not do that. And so he's someone, alongside other constituents, that I'm sure he kind of represents a similar story, that I want to get connected into this program. And lucky for him, and coincidentally, his house is also on the pedestrian priority network. So just really grateful for this first year of work. I hope that we have a regular amount of snow next year, just for the sake of our collective climate anxiety, and also just who we are as a state, and for this program to get more data and just help our constituents.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury. I just have a couple questions as well, Ethan. So, and Director, you said that a total of 600 was budgeted for this, and then around 230,000 actually went towards the program. So the other piece of that, what did it go for, or what has it not been spent?
Yeah, Chair Cashman, we'll have to follow up with you on that piece of it. But yeah, I think there was a couple of reasons for that. I don't know if Ethan wants to share anything more about sort of like, I think we were prepared to spend some more in a few of those areas, and there just maybe wasn't the awareness about like some of those programs that were available. But we'll have to follow up on the specifics of that funding question.
Okay, is that already in LIMS, or should I request like a staff memo on that? Is it already available somewhere publicly, that information?
Chair Cashman, I don't know for sure, but we'll be happy to follow up with you about that information. Yeah, so whether or not it's included, I'd maybe look to the clerks or others to confirm.
Thanks. No, I see that there's a related file in the LIMS, but it's earlier. It's from years past, so it probably doesn't have this level of detail. So I'll just ask Kendall to note a follow-up on the full amount that was budgeted for this program, and what are the plans to spend the remainder of it. And then I would also ask, and I'm not sure if you know off the top of your heads, like what do we spend on plowing the streets annually? Because I think for our residents, this is kind of the trade-off that I know we spend a lot of money on clearing our streets for vehicles, for cars and buses and everything, and I think we'll see that like it's actually a marginal cost to do sidewalk clearing as well, and that with so many people who actually use the sidewalks to get around, that it could be worth making this investment. But I would just like to have that information. Is that something that you know off the top of your head?
Chair Cashman, we'll have to follow up with you on that one. And it does vary by year, but I think we could probably share some recent examples of those costs.
Okay, thanks. I'll note that one for Kendall too. Was that clear? The question?
Madam Chair, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. So the question is about what in the past couple of years have been our costs with clearing snow from roads, snow plowing. And then I think my final question for you was then, I saw in your presentation that you did outreach with Pedestrian Advisory Committee and the community, you did the Community Connections Conference, and you gave a presentation to the Advisory Committee on People with Disabilities. I'm wondering if you did any outreach to the Committee on Aging, Advisory Committee on Aging.
I was, Chair Cashman, I was in talks with Christina Kendricks. I shared information with her, and she shared that information with the Committee on Aging early in the season.
Okay. Did you have any key takeaways from the feedback that you got from any of these advisory groups?
Chair Cashman, that is a good question. For the most part, they were just really excited to see them happen. It was very positive from my presentations on they're looking forward to seeing these results from this year and what we do forward.
Mm-hmm. And from your perspective of the 3 pilots, which one is the most successful and impactful?
Chair Cashman, it's a hard question to answer because they both achieve kind of on different values that we have in the city. They're all impactful in their own way. I'll say it was the most fun working with kind of the neighborhood orgs and very excited by the work they were doing.
Okay. Any other committee members? Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Chair Cashman. And just reading the budget amendment that was authored in 2023 by Councilmember Wansley, Council Vice President Chugtai, and Councilmember Osman, it was a $595,000 ongoing budget amendment. At least that's what I'm reading. So that's similarly, that's the funding that was allocated for this program. Just to answer your question, but we'll probably get a follow-up through staff here as well. And just want to say thank you for the presentation. I'm really excited about this. It is an incredible program, and I really appreciate you sharing some of the stories from the folks that were able to get some support from the city through this program. I think that is really helpful. And I guess for me, and this is not directed to you, but just maybe Director Tim Sexton, I think this program obviously, in my opinion, can grow a lot more. And I think the funding that council allocated in 2023 of $595,000, it feels like we can work with many more neighborhoods to make sure that we can get this program in different neighborhoods across the city, making sure that more people can benefit from this program. So I guess my only comment is thank you for your work, along with our staff, public works staff here, and NCR for making this happen. And also, it looks like there is room for us to work with a lot more neighborhoods now that the first year was completed, and it looks like it was successful, to make sure that this can even go in other places in our city that don't have it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. Seeing no other members in queue, we'll ask the clerk to file that report. Thank you so much. And with that, we've concluded all business. So without objection, we stand adjourned.